for their patient with a cardiometabolic problem, whether they are type 2 diabetes or obesity or dyslipidemia or hypertension or any other cardiovascular problem for people to lose weight, especially if they are overweight and obese. And in reality, we know that every 1 kilogram of weight gain is associated with increased risk for type 2 diabetes by around 9%. So it is very important, as I mentioned, that we have to help our patient with lifestyle intervention to lose weight. My team was, I think, the first team to show almost 25 years ago that when people lose weight, insulin sensitivity improve, the risk for cardiovascular disease will be much less. And also inflammation, this is what's called subclinical chronic inflammation, is significantly down. So let me look to the data that we presented at that time. We found that if you take people with insulin resistance, whether they are with type 2 diabetes or pre-diabetes or just obese people with insulin resistance, and you help them to lose 7% of their body weight, insulin sensitivity improves by 57%. I was shocked by this data at that time. I was whispering to my colleagues at Harvard and say, that means that diabetes is not a chronic disease and it may be a reversible disease, since the major problem in many of this population is insulin resistance. So if we'll be able to improve insulin sensitivity that much, maybe we can reverse the disease, we can even put the disease in remission. People who repeated this study, they found 70% or 80%, and even sometimes in some studies, even 90% improvement in insulin sensitivity. Not only that, we found that people who are obese or pre-diabetes or diabetes, all of them have endothelial dysfunction. This is a very early stage of atherosclerosis. And we evaluated endothelial function, and we found after 7% weight loss, endothelial function improved by 80%, irrespective of what stage those people are in their metabolic process, pre-diabetes or diabetes, or even just insulin resistant. And the core problem, which is inflammation, and we found inflammation or markers of inflammation are going nicely down between 15 and 25%. So it looks like weight loss is the key, but how you can achieve a very good quality weight loss? Because people can just look in the scale and say, okay, this is 10%, this is 7%, this is 15 or 20%. But the most important question mark is this truly healthy weight loss? So let me start here. If you look to those three figures, are three personals with exactly the same BMI. And interestingly, if you look to their muscle mass and you do CT scan or MRI, you will find that they are different in the amount of muscle mass and fat mass. Actually, this person is obese. This person is actually not obese. So the right definition of obesity is the increased percentage of body fat, more than 40% in women or more than 30% in men, irrespective of BMI. And that's exactly what you can see. You can see people are at different BMI or different level of fatness, as you can see, with exactly the same muscle mass. So muscle mass is a very precious mass, and you don't need your patient to lose muscle mass. And in reality, people in general are losing muscle mass. For every 10 years beyond the age 40, you lose around 8% of total muscle mass, which means that by age 70, you lose around 24% of your muscle mass. From age 70 up, you lose around 15% of the muscle mass per every 10 years or every decade. So it looks like double the loss in muscle mass. And as you can see, people with diabetes lose more muscle mass, and people with uncontrolled or undiagnosed diabetes lose significant amount of muscle mass. So muscle mass is a very precious mass, because if you continue to lose muscle mass, it will be a huge problem. Number one, you will not gain muscle mass back. Muscle mass is built through decades by three hormones: growth hormone, insulin, and sex hormones. From age 40 up, all those three hormones are nosed down. So you cannot build muscle mass if you lose them. Number two, energy expenditure will go significantly down, which can make weight regain is quickly back. And then the third problem is muscle performance will start to go down. And if you keep losing muscle mass, this will end up with what's called sarcopenia. And sarcopenia is significant loss in muscle mass. And if people start to gain weight because of sarcopenia, this is what we call it sarcopenic obesity. So your aim is not to lose muscle mass. And as I mentioned, as people lose muscle mass, they have short survival, there is significant disease progression, significant disability, hospitalization and mortality in the hospital will be significantly down, and poor quality of life. So there is a lot that will come in the package of muscle mass loss. So when you got people in weight loss, say you put someone on hypocaloric diet, how much loss in muscle mass? The majority of people, if you put them in hypocaloric diet, they lose between 15 and 25% of the total weight loss from muscles. So if they lose like 10 kilograms, 1.5 to 2.5 kilogram of muscles. If you combine exercise, you will see that the majority will lose between 0 and 15% of their muscle mass from that total weight loss. So, and people who are repeat the weight loss, they will lose, you keep losing muscle mass over time. Now, we have very powerful medications for weight loss. The GLP-1 receptor agonist, you know them very well now, and they are used for treatment of diabetes and used for treatment of obesity. So you look to semaglutide and tirzepatide, for example, and people who lose more than 10% of their body weight is around 69% in semaglutide, and in tirzepatide, which is more potent, it is around 92%, lose more than 10%. So significant weight loss. And you can see weight loss that are unheard of before by medical intervention. So for example, with semaglutide, around 50% lost more than 15% of their body weight, and around one-third lost more than 20% of their body weight. And also with a newer medication, you can even see some people around 20% lose close to 25% or even higher. Now the question is that if this is a loss in total body weight or loss in fat mass or in muscle mass, of course any weight loss is muscle mass and fat mass. But with GLP-1 receptor agonist, it is scary because the amount of muscle mass loss to the total loss is 40%. I told you in hypocaloric diet 25%, in exercise and dietary plan could be up to 15% of the total weight loss. But here they are 40%. So in just 1 year, people lose around 13.2% of their muscle mass. This is equivalent to around maybe 10 times the age-related loss in just 1 year. So here is a step 1 study for semaglutide and SERMONT-1 study for tirzepatide, and you can see the loss in muscle mass is significant in comparison to the age-related loss per year. So in 1 year, you lose equivalent to what you can lose by age in around 10 years. So, and for that reason, people can plateau and then they regain weight back. And especially if they stop the medication, they will be immediately back. Because during weight loss, the appetite is lower, definitely body weight is lower, but energy expenditure starts to go down. And it goes down because of the loss in muscle mass. Now, you stop the medication, appetite is back, energy intake is back, but still energy expenditure is low. So there is a significant risk for weight regain. And that's exactly what had been seen in step 4 study with semaglutide. You can see here, people start to lose significant amount of weight over 20 weeks. And this is a group that continued and a group that stopped. And as you can see, they start to regain quickly weight back and maybe back to baseline. So this is a quantity weight loss, not a quality weight loss. And let me repeat again, if you keep losing muscle mass, in my personal opinion, this will be like a crime. Because if you lose 10% of the muscle mass, immunity will be down, risk for infection will be higher. If you lose 20%, you will start to see wound healing start to be slower, muscle weakness, and risk of infection. 30% of muscle mass, then people cannot even stand from their chair because most of the loss occurs in the core muscles and thigh muscles, quadriceps, hamstrings, gluteal muscles. People can even get pressure sores because of that reason. And also they can get pneumonia and inability to heal. And when people start to lose 40%, the mortality is significantly high. So what you need people to do is to lose weight, but not to lose muscle mass, especially in elderly population, because muscle mass loss can be drastic. For that reason, we measure body composition. There are many ways to measure body composition. The easiest one is bioelectric impedance, very simple technique. Also DEXA scan, a little bit expensive, but it is a very, very good technique as well. And then CT scan and ultrasound or MRI, those can be also done, but very expensive. So at least you can do with bioelectric impedance in regular scenario. You need to give people who are on those medication enough amount of protein. And you need to give them good quality protein. And when I say good quality protein, means animal protein, or even protein powder, whey protein, or soya protein. You need to give them protein, because if you give animal protein, the protein density is significantly high. The essential amino acids, which is the most important, is significantly high. Leucine, with a building block amino acid for muscles, is high, and it gives more energy in comparison to plant protein. So if people are vegetarian and eating plant protein, they need, if they can, eat eggs like ovo-vegetarian or ovo-lacto-vegetarian, or eat fish, or supplement by ketogenic amino acids if they are pure vegan in that scenario. With the protein, you need strength exercise. Protein will not be taken by muscles unless you exercise muscles in a very efficient way. And again, you need to exercise the size, maybe elliptical bikes, stationary bikes against resistance, or elliptical against resistance, and, or as you can see here, some stretch band, and you can do some weights around the shoulder. And people need to do it after they eat protein, and to do it for 20-30 minutes every day. When my patients ask me for those medication, I say I will give you the medication under two conditions: to increase protein intake and to do strength exercise. Let us now talk to quality weight loss. And quality weight loss is the multidisciplinary weight loss. We aim, as I mentioned, 7%. If it will be 10%, it will be better. But people have to do it only one time. They need to know exactly what is the caloric composition, what the macronutrient composition. They need to know exactly what type of exercise, what frequency of exercise, and what strength of exercise or quality of exercise, and then behavior modification and the change of medication. But the most important, how people can maintain this for a very long time. We spent around $16 million in research to come with the best way for people to lose weight and maintain weight loss for longer duration. We designed a program back in 2005 called Why Weight? Weight Achievement and Intensive Treatment. And as you can see here, it is a multidisciplinary program, including all the components of weight loss: exercise, nutrition, group education, medication change, behavior modification. It includes medical nutrition therapy for 6 months, and the intervention we do it for 12 weeks, and then extension. We need to maintain muscle mass, as I mentioned. This is very, very important, because every time that you lose weight, your brain will cut basal metabolic rate and cut the energy that you use for digestion and absorption. If the muscle mass goes down and the energy expenditure goes down, if people go back and eat half of what they used to eat, they will gain all weight back, and the problem, it is mostly fat. And then adjustment of weight medication, and then weight maintenance plan. Let me start by medical nutrition therapy, and exactly what is the nutrition that you can give to your patients during weight loss. You need to cut the carbohydrates first down. Of course, you will cut the calories, 500, 700, whatever you will cut. But the most important is keep carbohydrates lower, around 40, 45 or even lower if people can maintain that amount of carbohydrates. But the most important is that the glycemic index of carbohydrates has to be a lower glycemic index. So vegetables, fruits, legumes, or adding fiber, this is very important. You need around 14 grams of fiber for every 1,000 calories. You need to increase protein, as I mentioned. This is around 1 to 1.5 gram per kilogram of adjusted body weight, and the fat is from healthy sources of fat like monounsaturated fat and polyunsaturated fat. You need to cut saturated fat way down, especially from meat, not from dairy. Dairy is not a problem, but from meat, and then cut sodium down. You can easily put people, women on 1,500 calorie diet. You put men on 1,800 calorie diet. You can reduce it later if you like. You can make men from 1,800 to 1,500 if they are not losing enough weight, and women from 1,500 to 1,200. But if someone is shorter than 1.5 meter, then you have to go with the lower figure, 1,500 for men and 1,200 for women. And then the exercise, and especially you need exercise that is gradual, that is balanced, and that is multidisciplinary exercise. Those exercises reduce visceral fat. This is the most dangerous fat. Exercise reduce blood pressure, reduce triglycerides, raise HDL. Those are all beneficial. Definitely muscles, when they are active, they take glucose from circulation without need for insulin. Physical fitness improve, quality of life improve, and also exercise is the best way to maintain weight loss. And then the most important is that during exercise, the blood flow will create a shear stress on the wall of the blood vessels, dilate blood vessels by nitric oxide. So this maintain a healthy cardiovascular system. The exercise has to be 3 types of exercise: flexibility or stretching, and stretching exercise improve the movement around the muscles, reduce energy, increase blood flow. People can do it just for 10 minutes. Aerobic exercise is like walking, swimming, biking, running, whatever they are, and strength exercise is the most important, as I mentioned. So people can easily do just wake up in the morning, then 10 minutes of stretching, eat your lunch, and walk in the place, brisk walking for 10 minutes. This is the aerobic part. And in the evening, in front of television, you can do 10 minutes of strength exercise. If the news is bad, you can do more. So 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes. This is 210 minutes per week, way better than the recommendation of 175. Exercise should be gradual. In Y weight, we are going gradually until we reach 50 to 60 minutes, 6 days per week, but we start very gradual and move forward. Also, medication should be adjusted. Medication that cause weight gain, we have to stop them or cut them significantly down. Medication which are weight neutral, like metformin, alpha-glucosidase, and DPP-4 inhibitor can be maintained. And then medication that can enhance weight loss will be added if it is possible in that scenario. We use CGM, continuous glucose monitor. I think it is a very good lifestyle intervention tool. There are cheaper versions now available in the US that people can use it and look to the time range and see if there is any trend of high blood glucose level. So let me end by sharing you some results of Y weight. Here is the results after 5 years, not just 1 year or 2 years. And as you can see, they maintained around 7%, 6.4% maintenance after 5 years by this type of intervention. And people who lost more than 7% in the first year were able to maintain around 9%. Let me show you the data after 10 years. And as you can see, after 10 years, you are still at 7% weight loss. And the group that lost initially, this is around 53% of people in the program, and they maintained around 9% weight loss. By the way, this is a real world clinical program. So this is not just a research part, but this is a clinical program that we do every day. We have been doing it for almost 20 years now. And as you can see, 15 years, this was just recently presented. And as you can see, they maintained around 7.6%. So if quality weight loss is done properly, people can maintain the weight loss for long duration. So let me end here. I hope we had more time to go through a lot more details. But the bottom line is that obesity is better defined and as increased in percentage body fat, and especially around waistline. The most dangerous part of fat is a visceral fat, and also other ectopic fat, intrahepatic fat, intramyocardial fat, intramuscular and subfacial fat in the muscles. Those are all dangerous type of fat. Weight reduction is also associated with improved insulin sensitivity. I showed you 57% improvement, also endothelial function and reduction of inflammation. But lean muscle mass is very important in evaluating obesity and ensuring that the weight loss is a healthy weight loss, not quantity but quality weight loss. Weight loss with GLP-1 receptor agonist is associated with significant loss of muscle mass, around 40% of the total weight loss. Higher protein intake is needed, strength exercise is needed, and they are very fundamental in mitigating that effect. Quality weight loss can be maintained, as I mentioned here, for a very long time. With this, I would like to thank you so much, and I hope you have a very successful conference, and I hope I will be in person with you next time, inshallah. Thank you very much. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.